Social expectation drowns us all inside. What you have should be what I want, 'cause what I have just ain't alright. The clothes I wear, the way I comb my hair, how I live, oh, I don't care.
Today is a very, very important topic, which is called Kathratul Kalam, talkativeness, too much of talking. 4 mujahadas. There are 4 mujahadas that we should learn by heart, and we should make amal upon it and practice it. 4 mujahadas. In other words, 4 efforts that anyone who really wants to get close to Allah, they have to do these 4 things. When anyone goes to the Sufis to reform himself, and by now we should have a clear idea what Sufism is all about. People have a bad idea about Sufism, and they think it's some kind of foreign thing, something alien to Islam, which is a wrong notion. Tasawwuf is authentic, it's sahih and correct. Yes, there are some people out there who claim to be Sufis and they call it Sufism, but it's full of things that are wrong. But because of that, we cannot label the science as being what? Alien or foreign to Islam. And of course, these discourses are being given by the Grand Mufti of Pakistan, Mufti Taqi Usmani, whose brother is Mufti Rafi Usmani. They have great position in fiqh. He's also part of the fiqh, International Fiqh Council of the World. And of course, it's by Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi. And we know who is Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi. When anyone goes to the Sufis to reform himself, and this is the whole thing, it's about reformation, Islam. Otherwise, we live our whole lives, and just as we were 20 years, a person reaches 40 years, 43 years, 50 years, and still the same, no development. So when anyone goes to the Sufis to reform himself, they get him to take 4 mujahadas, to make 4 mujahadas, 4 endeavors. They are, number 1, qillatul ta'am, less eating. Number 2, qillatul kalam, less speech, less talking. Number 3, qillatul manam, less sleeping. And number 4, qillatul iqtilat ma'al anam, less mixing with people. These are the 4 mujahadas, the 4 efforts. The result is that he becomes normal in nature. That is what is matlub, the natija. He becomes normal in nature, whereafter he is able to control these 4 habits. And if he doesn't do these things, he will never be able to control these 4 habits. And 1,000 Ramadans may pass, but still he would not control these 4 habits. So a question may be asked here, why abandon the lawful? Allah has given us food, halal food. I could eat a pound of shrimp if I want, 1 pound of shrimp, or a whole red fish. Why abandon the lawful? Is this contrary to Shariat? What? People ask questions, and they raise objections. Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, rahmatullah alayhi, said that the aim of these mujahadas, these endeavors, is to cause our carnal desires to return to normal. That's the aim, to cause the carnal desires to return to normal, because they're not normal. Some lawful things have also to be given up in order to withdraw the inclination to sin and to come to the straight path. You have to give up some lawful things. Someone asked Maulana Gangohi, rahmatullah alayhi, wa nawwar Allahu marqadahu, wa nafa'ana bi ulumihim ameen. Why do the Sufis prescribe the giving up of the lawful things and that which is halal? Why? Who can forbid that which Allah has made lawful? Question was posed to him. He replied that in fact it was a treatment, adiyatu dawahi. It's a treatment. In the same way as if the physician puts a diabetic on sugar-free diet. A physician puts a diabetic on sugar-free diet treatment. he explained that just as sugar is not forbidden, and a physician does not change its lawful status, no, but only disallows its consumption as part of treatment, so too the Sufis treat their disciples. It's treatment. Their aim is to normalize nature. In the same way, when a sheikh instructs his disciple to talk less, qillatul kalam, to eat less, qillatul ta'am, sleep less, qillatul manam, and to cut down on meeting people, qillatul iqtilat ma'al anam, he does not make Allah's lawful unlawful. Rather, he treats him. He wants him to practice abstinence, and he may return to normal, and then return to normal. Hence, one must not question their mujahadas in this way. One should not question it. An excellent example. Maulana Gangohi, rahmatullah alayhi, then explained it with an example. He said, take a piece of paper and fold that piece of paper. Then try to straighten it. You will not be able to do it unless you fold it on the reverse of what you had done first. Again, Maulana Gangohi gave an excellent example. He said, take a piece of paper and fold it. Then try to straighten it. You will not be able to do it unless you fold it on the reverse of what you had done first. So our soul, our ruh, our carnal desires is all folded towards sin. Folded towards sin. In the same way, our soul is turned in the direction of sin, folded in the direction of sin and disobedience to Allah. The cure lies in folding it in the reverse direction and get it to abandon some lawful things so that it may return to moderation. This is why the Sufis instruct fresh disciples to reduce on food, speech, mixing with people, and sleep. Not necessary to eat less and sleep less is a gift for our time. Maulana Thanwi rahmatullah alayhi said that in view of today's conditions, one must not worry about reducing on food. He must not worry about reducing on food intake, but should eat in accordance with Allah's blessing on him. Alhamdulillah for today. So he said, Maulana Thanwi said, alayhi rahmah, I do not impose on you the mujahada, the effort of less food. Similarly, I do not prescribe the mujahada of less sleep, because the physical stamina of contemporary people is such that they would fall ill if they do it. They're not able with that, and will fail to observe even the little worship that they are used to observe. So that was for long ago, these first two qillats. How little food then? What little foods? At least something should be observed. However, Maulana Thanwi alayhi rahmah went on to say, while he is eating, and this is a good formula for all of us to know when to stop. While he is eating, every man comes to a point, whether it be a woman or man, while a person is eating, every man comes to a point when he asks himself a question, whether he may stop or eat more. Should I stop now? Should I eat more? It happens to everybody. So when he comes to this question, he should stop eating. Once this question reaches, stop eating. Insha'Allah, he will get the blessings of less food, and as doctors say, he will never fall ill. Problem with illness today is because of the stomach, because of packing and filling the stomach too much is because of sicknesses today. So that's about how little food, about how little sleep. Similarly, he said that if today's people make mujahada as earlier people did and slept just 1 hour out of 24 hours, they used to do it before. But people today, if they do that, they will fall ill and they will go mad. They would be unable to do the little that they had been doing. Maulana Tanwi Rahmatullah alayhi said that people today should determine the number of hours they would sleep, keeping their health in view. They should sleep 6 or 7 hours or a maximum of 8 hours. They should refrain from sleeping beyond whatever they have determined. This is how the Maulana taught us about the 2 mujahadas. We take care of them in this way. But the big one is the tongue. Talking. Check the tongue. There are 2 other mujahadas, efforts. One of them is to talk less. It is necessary to act on it. And as long as a man does not check his tongue, he cannot walk on this path. Strong warning here. As long as a man can't check his tongue, he can't walk on this path. This path is not for him. He should stop his tongue from speaking non-stop like an express. The first step in this path of suluk is to control the tongue. The tongue is Allah's blessing, a piece of flesh. It is a great blessing bestowed on birth, since birth, and lasting till death. Wow. No maintenance is necessary all throughout the life, yet it works incessantly. Wow. The tongue's movement, the tongue comes into action the moment the mind thinks of something, and the tongue conveys the message to the listeners. Allah has linked the tongue with the mind in such a way that at the spur of the moment, the listener receives it in his mind. Allah inspired the mind through His infinite power and wisdom and made the tongue subservient to the mind so that the tongue translates the mind's thought into expression. The link. If the link between the mind and the tongue was not spontaneous, but there was an interruption through a connector, then the time lag would be a torture. It would not be possible to do any worldly thing. But Allah, the glorious, the majestic, linked both of them to work spontaneously in coordination, mind and tongue. You know, we never really check for that. Isn't so, Arab? A lesson-bearing event. Mufti Taqi Usmani, Damat Barakatum, Wa'afiyatum. He said, I had an occasion to go to Barbados. So we have the West Indies in his book, mashallah. I had an occasion to go to Barbados in the Caribbean islands, known as West Indies. I saw a man who had a tongue which made movement, but gave out no sound because of a defect in his vocal cords, in his sound box. Hence, an instrument was made for him, which he carried in his hand always. He plugged in this instrument into an opening in his throat whenever he had to say something. It produced a sound quite unlike a human sound and more like an animal's on hearing which children laughed. Nevertheless, he managed to convey his message. However, I could observe his restlessness, because when his mind relayed a message, there was a time lag, during which he plugged in the instrument to the opening before the tongue could convey it. We possess many blessings. We do not realize the worth of Allah's blessings because He has given them to us gratis. And without our effort, He has given these blessings to us gratis and without any effort from us. He has given us the tongue, speech, the sound box, and the link between mind and tongue. We speak whenever we like. Let it not be that we realize its worth when it is taken away, ma'adallah. We have His blessing from head to toe. Allah's blessing from head to toe. Each blessing a word of its own. The tongue is one of them. Do not use this blessing to commit sin. The Quran commands repeatedly that we must think and ponder. Indeed, these are the very things on which we must ponder. How many a blessing has Allah given us? The tongue is also a blessing which we use it constantly. But we never have given a thought about this blessing and never reminded ourselves that Allah has commanded us to use it carefully and not commit sin with it. A means to amass treasures of the hereafter. If you use the tongue correctly, then it will be a means to amass treasures for you in the akhirah. If you say Subhanallah with it once, then this expression will fill up the pan of your scale. The same will happen if you say Alhamdulillah or make dhikr in any form. Allah will amass treasures of piety for you in the hereafter. If you recite the Quran with your tongue, then Allah will credit your record of deeds with 10 pieties against each letter. If you read just Alif Lam Mim, 30 pieties will be written down in your favor. Look at Allah's mercy. The tongue is His blessing, and He has given it strength. He has taught the expressions and inspired the tongue to recite them. The Quran is also revealed by Him, and this by itself is a great blessing. In spite of that, He, Allah, offers reward for reciting His words. With His blessings, His mercy knows no bounds. The tongue will deliver from hell. Thus, a proper use of the tongue can get you palaces in Jannah. So keep it damp and moist with the remembrance of Allah. It will set right your life in the next world and deliver you from Jahannam, hell. If anyone who has disbelieved for 70 years in kufr says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, then at that very moment he comes out of Jahannam, hell, and goes to paradise, Jannah. This is the great achievement of the tongue. Tongue may take to hell. The creator and master of this tongue has only this demand, use it carefully and do not use it to commit sin. Use it carefully and do not use it to commit sin. That's the only demand the Creator wants from it. But if you use it to perpetrate evil, then there is nothing more dangerous than it as a means to hell. The Prophet ﷺ said that people will be flung into hell, face down, mostly because of their tongue. It takes a man to Jahannam, hell, most rapidly. If he lies or he backbites, he will be sent to hell. If he hurts anyone or utters a word that violates Allah's commands, then it will take him to Jahannam. So keep the tongue in check. Backbiting, man forgets that he is given a tremendous blessing. And he forgets who has given it to him and why. The result is that he uses it incessantly from morning to evening, imagining that he is right. Even if the tongue is used fearlessly for right things, there surely are some wrongs. For instance, you may sit down and you begin to praise an acquaintance and you're talking about people now. And you're saying, oh, he is pious. Yeah, he's a pious guy. He's pious. He's righteous. You describe his virtues. But then the devil, the shaitan, puts in a patch. He is pious, but a little stupid. This phrase with but turns your praise into backbiting, about which the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina. Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina. Ghibat is worse than adultery. It's a hadith of Bayhaqi, reported by Bayhaqi. Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina. So keep tongue in check. When man talks much, his tongue slips beyond limit. This is why the Sufis say that you must not speak much. When you talk little, it is less likely to go awry. It slips because it has no restrictions on it. Those people who fail to have company of religious elders do not ever worry about controlling their tongues. This is very apparent in public places, how people talk ceaselessly. Do not talk unnecessarily. You must apply some restrictions on this tongue. The Sufis suggest little speech, only when necessary. Observe silence way before you speak, but this is possible only when you speak little. Mia Sahib's case, my respected father, Maulana Mufti Muhammad Shafi Rahmatullah Alayhi, who was also the Grand Mufti of Pakistan. He had a teacher, Mia Sayyid Asghar Hussain. My respected father had a teacher, Mia Sayyid Asghar Hussain Rahmatullah Alayhi. He was an excellent, saintly man. We heard strange things about him. Mia Sayyid Asghar. One day, he was very friendly with my respected father, Rahmatullah Alayhi. One day he said to my father, "Today we shall speak in Arabic." My father was surprised because they had never done it, nor were they used to do it. So he asked why. He answered, "When we speak in our mother tongue, we do not exercise control over our tongue and speak without curb or fear, and thus commit the wrong of talkativeness. As for Arabic, neither you have fluency over it nor I, so that we will speak only what is necessary, and we will falter, so only little speech will be exchanged." Our example, he said further, Mia Asghar, Mia Sayyid Asghar. He said our example is like that of one who goes on a journey with a large sum of money. That's our example. Goes on journey with a large sum of money. He spends it freely, buying this and buying that. Soon he has very little money. But if he spends it sparsely, thinking twice before spending, then it might see him through to his destination. So curtail even the allowed speech. Our example is that we use our tongue for a greater part of our life without measure and without rein. We do not know how much more we shall live and how many years are there for us again. So let us try to use it in future in a proper way and save ourselves from putting it to wrong use. This is the real aim of less speech. Begin by speaking very little. Do not speak unnecessarily, even that which is allowed. Gradually, when you are used to speak little and you attain moderation, then inshallah you will speak within moderate limits, and you will not utter but weighed words and never exaggerate, never overpraise and never over criticize. The new generation knows no language. Some people say that Maulana Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayhi uses very difficult words in his sayings. They say that they do not understand what he says. First, when the Maulana Rahmatullah Alayhi was alive, the people were not as poor in language as today's people are. This generation knows no language. They do not know Urdu, Persian, Arabic, English, or any other in a correct sense. May Allah have mercy on them. Maulana's times, Rahmatullah Alayhi. During those times of Maulana, the common man was not unaware of scholarly terminology. The letters of even matriculates of those times had Arabic words. The graduates of our times will not understand even those letters. Even common Urdu words are found difficult today unless interpreted and interspersed with English words. This is why people say that Maulana Thanvi's sermons and sayings, alayhi rahmah, contain difficult words. His words are measured. Secondly, if an educated man will pay a little attention to his expressions, he will realize that Maulana Thanvi Rahmatullah alayh used limited words, the absolute necessary, never an extra word, nor a word less. Wow, ye to Kamal ki baat hai. Sometimes he did not find a simple word, or sometimes he did not find simple words to express his idea as briefly as a difficult word did. He used this style to remain within limits. A saying of Maulana Thanvi Rahmatullah alayh, my respected father Rahmatullah alayh used to quote to us one of Maulana Thanvi's saying, Rahmatullah alayh, self-opinion is very bad. Self-opinion is very bad. It means that it is very bad to always decide on one's personal opinion, trust in it, and relying on oneself only to do everything. Thus, whatever one does, it is necessary to consult others. As long as elders by law are there, consult them. As long as elders by law are there, consult them, says Maulana Thanvi. Observe, says Mufti Sahib. He did not say simply as long as elders are there, consult them, but he said as long as elders by law are there, consult them. Then he himself explained why he had put in the qualifying words. I say elders by law because only Allah knows who is an elder and who is a junior in reality. The Quran tells us, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Surely the noblest among you in the sight of Allah is the most pious and righteous of you. He is elder. Upon whom Allah bestows His favors, he is an elder. Whom He forgives and with whom He is pleased, that is an elder. Not necessarily one who is senior in age or rank. In the rules of the world, Allah has created some ranks, like father is the elder of son, teacher of the student. This is why Maulana Thanvi alayhi rahmah said, as long as elders by law are there, consult them. When they do not exist, consult your equals, your peers. And when there are none of them, consult your juniors. Moderation results in such speech. We might have said, consult the elders. But Maulana Thanvi alayhi rahmah did not say so because only Allah knows who is really an elder and what is Allah's, and that is Allah's domain. So he added the qualifier. When Allah makes anyone practice moderation, the tongue and the pen emit a proper weighed word. Hence, when one writes something, he need not trespass the limits and use more words than necessary. Why you wish to speak? This is why the Sufis say that one must speak less. When a man steps into this field, he has to begin with this prescription. When a man comes on this path of tasawwuf and suluk, he has to begin with this prescription. Maulana Thanvi Rahmatullah alayhi said, every voluntary word and deed has an objective. Every voluntary word and deed has an objective. So before doing anything or speaking, think what the objective is. If there is no objective for any deed or any word, then it is useless. You're like a madman. If the objective is known, but it is not beneficial, then too it is useless. If the objective is harmful, then the speech or the deed is also harmful. And Fase Isa. The Maulana say that when you say something, ponder a while what makes you say that. Why are you saying that? If the aim is correct and according to the Sharia of Islam, then go on and say it. But if the aim is not correct and not according to the Sharia, or in saying that, or in saying that there is no benefit in this world or the next, then do not involve your tongue in it for no reason. Bekar, useless, kya faida. Rather leave it. One has to practice this. Resolve not to make a wrong use of the tongue. If a man resolves for the sake of Allah, this is so deep here. If a man resolves for the sake of Allah and forms an intention to correct what he does, then Allah helps him. Allah says, and look at Maulana's tafsir on this verse, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And those who strive hard for our cause, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. We shall certainly guide them in our ways. Maulana Thanwi Rahmatullah alayhi interpreted this verse in this way. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. Those people who make an effort on our part. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. Those people who make an effort on our path. لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. We hold them by their hand and take them to our path. We hold them by the hand and take them to our path. He said that the word hidayat is used in this verse to mean delivering to the goal. We hold their hand and take them to the goal. First, let anyone form an intention. Let him form an intention and then take a step. Take a step forward now. Then He, Allah, guides on what should be spoken. And this is for bayan, it's for khutbah, it is for any type of speech. Form an intention and then take a step forward. Then He, Allah, guides on what should be spoken. And that is called ilham and inspiration. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu abstained from lies. Siddiq Akbar, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was going with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Medina from Mecca on the Hijrah. Look at this example. The Meccans had announced that anyone who would bring to them the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be awarded 100 camels. Imagine what a great award that was. There were people all around to chase them to get that reward of 100 camels. People all around to chase them, to locate them. But both the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went quietly to Medina, concealing themselves. On the way, they met an old acquaintance of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He was from another city, but an old friend of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, from another city. Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had a wide circle of friends. He was happy to meet Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And he asked Abu Bakr, who is this man with you here? Who is this man? Obviously, he did not know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If Sayyiduna Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu spoke the truth, then that was a risky thing, for the enemy might learn it through this man. If he did not say anything, then that was not possible, because he was put into a direct question. If he gave a wrong answer, that would be a lie. But look how Allah inspires a person. It's called ilham. Make intention, step forward, and Allah guides you to say what is to be said. He was Siddiq Akbar radiallahu anhu, the great truthful one. He could not lie. He might have prayed to Allah. He must have prayed to Allah to guide him with an answer. Allah inspired him to say, this man, when he asked, and the man asked, who is this person with you? Abu Bakr answered, he is a guide who shows me the path. Wow. He is a guide who shows me the path. Not correct? This was a difficult time. Death was before them. But he did not tell a lie. When anyone submits himself to Allah, then He, Allah, alone guides him on how to tackle a difficulty. He is a guide who shows me the path. Look at another example. 2 examples, and we bring the session to a close, inshallah. Maulana, the great Maulana Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi, rahmatullah alayhi. Maulana Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi, rahmatullah alayhi, was the founder of the great institute Darul Uloom in Deoband. He had waged jihad against the Britishers in 1857 the great scholars of India, the great elders of India, they were the ones who waged the jihad and took the jihad against the Britishers. He had waged, and his name, Maulana Muhammad Qasim Nanotwi, the founder of Darul Uloom Deoband. He had waged jihad against the Britishers in 1857 in the War of Independence. They had issued warrants of his arrest. Obviously, they want him dead or alive. In fact, scaffolds for execution were erected on every crossing. These scaffolds for execution were erected on every crossing. The police were on the lookout for him, for Maulana. So, Maulana was sitting in the Chata Masjid of Deoband. Anybody who goes to Deoband, they know Chata Masjid in Deoband. He was wearing a lungi around his waist and he had a shirt on, like the Malaysians. Lungi and shirt. No one could say that he was an alim of deen, a scholar. So the policemen came in their Chata Masjid looking for him, and they were under the impression that he would be a distinguished personality in very impressive garments. They could never imagine that he was their man and thought that he was a servant of the masjid. So they asked him, "Where is Maulana Qasim?" So Maulana got up from where he was and moving a little bit, he said, "He was here just now," pointing to the place. Subhanallah. He was here just now, pointing to the place. He would have been arrested if he had disclosed himself. I mean, you have to be smart. This is jihad. You can't be stupid here. He would have been arrested if he had disclosed himself, and he could not lie. He didn't want to lie also. Allah helped him to give a proper reply. This is called ilham. Allah helped him to give a proper reply. The policemen went away after conducting a little search, and then they went away. And finally, the story of our Grand Sheikh also, Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, Rahmatullah alayhi. Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, Rahmatullah alayhi, was a great faqih. He was called Faqihul Ummah, the jurist of the Ummah. He was a great muhaddith, great scholar, mufti, Maulana, deep in tasawwuf, zikr, but with all of that, he was also in jihad too, Philip. Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullah alayhi had also participated in the jihad for independence of India. Muslims were in the forefront. He was arrested and summoned by a magistrate in court. So he's in court now before the magistrate and Britishers. The magistrate read out the charges that he had weapons and asked him, "Tell me, do you have weapons?" Now really, Maulana had weapons buried underground. Weapons. How are you going to fight a jihad without weapons? He had weapons buried underground. If he said no, that would be a lie. And if he said yes, then he would be executed. Head gone. At such times, when life is at stake, when it is jihad, it is sometimes allowed to tell a lie for the sake of what? Saving one's life, when life is at stake at the time of jihad. So Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi alayhi rahmah, he had a tasbih. He had a tasbih in his hand. He raised up the tasbih high, the zikr beads. He raised it up high and said, this is our weapons. Yes, we have weapons. This is our weapon. Just then, a villager came in and said to the magistrate, "Who have you arrested?" "He is the muazzin of our masjid." He is the muazzin. When the magistrate saw the tasbih in the hand of the Maulana and heard the words of the villager that he was a muazzin for the masjid, he let him go. This is how Allah helps. He inspires them to say the right things. Summary. To conclude, if a man resolves to use the blessings of Allah, that is the tongue, to proper use, according to Allah's pleasure, then he gets Allah's help. So make a resolve, and inshallah, you will get Allah's help. May Allah cause all of us to abide by these teachings. Ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
Social expectation drowns us all inside. What you have should be what I want, 'cause what I have just ain't alright. The clothes I wear, the way I comb my hair, how I